They laughed when she showed up, a teenage girl in worn boots dragging an old scratched rifle like it belonged in a museum. "Who let the intern on the field?" someone joked. Another filmed her and typed, "This'll be good for a laugh." No one knew her name. No one knew her bloodline. But when she tied a blindfold around her eyes and whispered, "Let's begin," the laughter stopped. 10 bullets later, the crowd wasn't cheering. They were trembling. Because she didn't just hit the bullseye, she resurrected a legend and made the whole world remember the name Ward. The Nevada sun beat down like a curse. Dust swirled around the entrance to the Falcon Scope Championship, the most prestigious sniper tournament on the planet. A global showcase of elite marksmanship, military veterans, national champions, custom, gear, million-dollar sponsorships. And in the middle of all that glory, she arrived, a girl. Maybe 19, thin frame, scuffed combat boots, faded green jacket 2 sizes too big. On her shoulder, a worn-out rifle, the barrel dulled with time, the wood scratched, chipped, and ancient. It looked like it belonged in a museum. Or a pawn shop, not here. She stepped into the registration line and the laughter began. Jesus, is that her rifle? Did someone forget to tell her this isn't a cosplay convention? No lie. I've seen airsoft gear that looked more professional. The girl didn't respond. She held her rifle like it weighed nothing, like she'd carried it across deserts, not just parking lots. Her name tag said Celia Ward. No sponsor, no team, just the name. An older man in a tan jumpsuit leaned toward his teammate. "Ward, that name rings a bell. Isn't that—" "Forget it." The teammate cut him off, eyes locked on the girl. "It's just a fluke. PR stunt, maybe." She approached the check-in desk. The clerk gave her an up-down glance before forcing a polite tone. "Are you lost, miss?" "No." She placed her registration form on the table. Clear, straightforward, signed Celia Ward. He scanned it, paused. "You're competing?" "I am." A long pause, then a slight nod. "Lane 43, you'll be shooting last." As she walked past rows of high-grade sniper rigs, custom optics, carbon barrels, matte black finishing, people whispered behind their scopes. Cameras panned over to catch the comic relief. She took her place at the edge of the range, alone, and began cleaning her weapon. The live stream chat lit up. "Who brought the antique?" "Dead girl walking." "Let's go!" She's about to miss every shot. None of them knew what she carried. They didn't know that rifle was the same one her father held 36 years ago. Arthur Deadscope Ward, the man who once, blindfolded, hit 10 bullseyes in a row from 300 meters, and then disappeared from the sport forever. They didn't know the coat she wore still smelled like old gun oil and Arizona heat. They didn't know she trained not on private ranges but behind barns, under moonlight, with no one to clap when she got it right. Only her own breath and the echo of her father's voice in her mind. The cameras kept zooming in on the rifle. One broadcaster whispered into his mic, "Is this a joke? That thing doesn't even have modern stabilization." In a luxury suite above the range, executives watched her screen like a sideshow. "She won't last one shot," one said. "She's a meme waiting to happen," another added. Down below, she adjusted her sling, closed her eyes for a moment, whispered something under her breath. Someone nearby caught it. "Let's begin." The temperature climbed, but the air felt colder around her. Celia sat alone on the prep bench at lane 43. Her rifle lay across her lap like a memory made of metal and wood. Around her, competitors were prepping sleek firearms on carbon fiber, tripods comparing laser rangefinders, laughing with crew members and managers. She had none of that, just a can of oil, a worn cloth, and quiet. The announcer's voice crackled across the stadium PA. "Next up, we enter the Precision Blind Fire Challenge. Wind shifts active, target zones randomized. Shooters will have 10 rounds at 300 meters. Excitement rippled through the crowd. It was the most difficult stage of the tournament, the one designed to separate snipers from dreamers. She looked up at the flags fluttering on the far side of the range, southwest wind, mild cross-push, then occasional drop, just like the ranch. Back home, a voice interrupted her thoughts. "Hey, Grandma's pawn shop called. They want their junk back." She turned. 3 men stood nearby. Team Ember, a trio of sponsored sharpshooters high-ranking in last year's championship. Their leader, Troy "Trigger" Madsen, leaned on his spotless, custom-tuned bolt-action rifle like a scepter. He gestured toward her weapon. That thing wouldn't hit the broadside of a barn if it fell off a truck. The guy next to him pulled out his phone, camera pointed right at her. "Smile, sweetheart. You're today's before photo." Celia didn't react, just continued checking the bolt. Trigger chuckled. "Oh, she's one of those. The broody, silent, emotionally scarred types. Probably read too much Hemingway." He turned to his team. "Tell you what, I'll donate $5,000 to charity if she hits even one shot." Any shot. The phone livestream was already climbing in views. Comments flooded in. "OMG, she brought a museum piece. Why is she not disqualified for endangering real shooters? What kind of idiot signs up with a WW2 relic?" Behind her, a veteran sniper from Norway glanced over. His gear was modern, immaculate, but his eyes softened when he saw her rifle. He leaned in slightly, voice low, respectful. "That's an M40A1, Marine sniper issue, Vietnam era, standard zeroed scope, no frills." He paused. Someone loved that rifle. Celia looked up at him, just for a moment. "I still do." Then she stood. The crowd shifted. Spectators began making their way to the observation stands. The announcer returned, his voice carrying a smile you could almost hear. "And now, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the line a first-time competitor, Miss Celia Ward. Let's see if she's here to surprise us, or entertain us." Fresh wave of laughter echoed. Troy shouted from behind, "Go easy on the scope, Ward. It might crack under pressure." She walked to the firing line. 10 metal targets stood in the distance, obscured partially by heat haze and intermittent mist spray from shifting wind machines. She knelt. The cameras zoomed in, then she did something no one expected. She reached into her coat pocket and pulled out a strip of black cloth, tied it tightly around her head. Blindfold. The announcer's voice choked. Ladies and gentlemen, this appears to be, intentional." The audience erupted, some cheering, most laughing. What is she doing? Is this performance art? This girl's gone viral. She's mocking the sport, but she didn't speak. She settled into position, lying prone, breathing steady. Her fingers danced across the weapon, checking windage dials by feel, adjusting scope she would never use. Her lips moved, but no sound came out. A few older snipers leaned forward in their seats. One of them, an American Gulf War vet, whispered, "No way. That stance? I've seen that before." Someone asked where. His voice shook. "Arthur Ward, her father. I was there. 1987. He did this. 10 for 10. Blind. Same rifle." From ridicule to awe, the shift was beginning. But no one yet believed she could finish what he started. They were about to learn legends don't die, they reload. The range went still. Even the wind seemed to hesitate. Celia lay prone, blindfolded, fingers resting gently on the aged rifle that once belonged to her father. Her breath came in slow, even waves, measured, practiced. She wasn't nervous. She was listening. The wind shifted. Southwesterly, 6 Mapro. Dust whirled and danced across the firing line like spirits rising from the ground. 10 steel targets stood 300 meters away, randomly spaced, different heights, rotating slightly on servo pivot mounts. The challenge, 10 bullets, 10 bullseyes. No visuals, no tech, no second chances. The announcer's voice, once chipper, now cracked with tension. "Shooter Ward is blindfolded. This is not against regulation, but it is highly unorthodox." The judges exchanged looks, cameras zoomed in. The chat box on the live stream exploded. "She's trolling. Call security. Wait. Is this serious? Troy, Trigger, Madsen was doubled over laughing at first, but now he stood frozen, silent. Celia's hands adjusted the bolt with reverence, not haste. Her fingers traced the stock as if it were braille. Then she chambered the first round. Click. She exhaled, then fired. Bang. The sound echoed across the desert. Half a second passed. Then clang. A dull, perfect ping. Center hit. Bullseye. The screen lit up. Target 1. Center gasps rippled through the crowd. Whispers turned to stunned silence. The announcer stammered, "She's hit the first. Clean. Blindfolded. Celia." Didn't celebrate. Didn't move. She adjusted her left elbow 2 millimeters. Tilted her chin slightly. Click. Bang. Clang. Target 2. Center by now. The crowd had stopped making noise altogether. Even the skeptics fell quiet, their disbelief twisting into something else. Uncertainty. Awe. Bang. Clang. Target 3. Center Celia's. Breathing was calm, mechanical. A perfect engine of focus. Bang. Clang. Target 4. Center in the VIP lounge. A retired colonel stood up, his voice breaking. "That's not luck, that's blood memory." Bang. Clang. Target 5. Center. Each shot was faster now, more fluid, like her body was remembering the pattern her father once carved into the very air. But this wasn't mimicry. This was resurrection. Bang. Clang. Target 6. Center trigger. Madsen took a step back from the firing line, jaw slack. The man who'd offered $5,000 if she hit one shot was watching her nail 6, blind. Someone shouted from the stands, "She's doing it again. She's bringing him back." Bang. Clang. Target 7. Center. A bead of sweat trickled down her temple beneath the blindfold. Her body shifted with the breeze, adapting like it had done 1,000 times before. Behind a barn, in the dark, with no coach, no witnesses, no applause, just her, and the echo of her father's ghost. Bang. Clang. Target 8. Center. The judge nearest the scope monitor dropped his pen. 8 for 8, he whispered. The crowd began rising to their feet, not to cheer, not yet, but because they understood. Something sacred was happening here. Bang. Clang. Target 9. Center. Now the desert was silent. Even the birds seemed to pause mid-flight. Celia inhaled, long and deep. The 10th shot wasn't just a bullet. It was legacy. One final alignment. One final adjustment. Her fingers trembled, just slightly. Click, bang. A half second passed. Clang. The 10th screen flashed red. Center, 10-10. Blind fire confirmed. No one clapped. No one screamed. Because awe doesn't make noise at first. It holds its breath. Celia removed her blindfold slowly, looked up. Eyes clear. The camera caught her expression. A single tear streaking down her cheek, cutting through the dust. And then, from the top row of the bleachers, a veteran in full uniform stood and saluted. One by one, others followed. Within seconds, the entire stadium was on its feet. Soldiers, champions, judges, even Troy Madsen. Not clapping, not cheering, saluting. The announcer's voice returned, barely audible. For the second time in history, 10 blind shots have struck 10 bullseyes, and once again, the name is Ward. The standing ovation never made it to applause. It didn't need to. Across the desert arena, every person was frozen in reverence, saluting, eyes wide, hearts thudding in silence. They had come for spectacle, for domination, for fame and fun. But what they got was history resurrected. Celia stepped back from the line slowly, still silent. She didn't raise her arms, didn't smile, didn't perform. She simply shouldered her rifle, like her father used to do, and walked off the range as if nothing had happened. But everything had. 10 minutes later, the internet caught fire. Someone posted a clip of the moment she tied the blindfold, then shot, then hit. The caption, "She brought a rusted rifle, tied a blindfold, and erased 30 years of doubt in 10 bullets. 20 million views in 3 hours. Blind sniper, her daughter of the dead shot." Ward returns. Not a freaking fluke, every sports channel ran the story. The live stream exploded with reposts and stitched reactions. From Tokyo to New York, snipers, veterans, athletes, and even casual viewers sat in awe. And then came the reversal. Trigger Madsen, the man who mocked her rifle, laughed at her jacket, bet on her failure, was now the subject of side-by-side comparison videos. Left, Troy laughing, pointing at Celia's gun. Right, Celia, blindfolded, nailing 10 for 10. Caption: the difference between noise and legacy. He tried to post a statement. I was just joking. But the internet doesn't forget, nor forgive. One comment rose to the top. You bet $5,000 she wouldn't hit 1. She hit 10. You owe her respect, and the world an apology. He deleted his account 24 hours later. The Falcon Scope Committee issued a formal press release. Today, Celia Ward redefined what is possible in modern marksmanship. Her performance not only honored her father's legacy, it challenged every one of us to look deeper than gear and status. We are humbled. Back in Nevada, reporters scrambled to find her. Where had she trained? Who sponsored her? Where had she been hiding all this time? They didn't understand. There were no coaches, no elite team, just moonlit nights behind a wooden barn. Just her father's whisper in the trees. Just the echo of trigger clicks when no one else believed. She sat quietly outside the arena, her rifle leaning against the wall beside her. A little girl, maybe 10, approached her with wide eyes and a crumpled notebook. Was that really your dad's gun? She asked, holding out a pen. Celia nodded. The girl hesitated. Weren't you scared? Celia looked at her, softening. Yes, she said, but I trusted what silence remembers. The girl smiled. Can I learn? Celia wrote one word in the notebook. Yes. By evening, she was trending worldwide. Major brands offered sponsorship. Tactical companies begged her to demo their rifles. The Falcon Committee offered her a guest slot on next year's judging panel. She declined them all. A single post on her personal page explained why. I didn't come to be branded. I came to remind you that ghosts don't disappear. They aim, and sometimes they return. Meanwhile, in a studio across the country, an anchor read the story out loud, shaking her head. You know what gets me? She said. They laughed at her, mocked her, treated her like a joke, and she didn't say a word. She let her silence speak. The clip cut to black, then faded back in, with the replay of that 10th shot. Bang. Clang. Bullseye. Weeks passed. The Falcon Scope Arena was cleared out. Banners rolled up. Live stream replays filed into archives. But one name, Celia Ward, refused to fade. Not because she asked for it, because she never needed to. Her silence stayed. She turned down every interview, declined every offer. Sponsorships, appearances, book deals, even a documentary pitched by a famous director. They all wanted a story. But Celia had already told it. 10 shots, blind, perfect. She returned to the place where it all began. Not a shooting academy, not a military base, but a small, creaking barn tucked behind a withered fence in rural Arizona. Her father's land, overgrown, weather-worn, and silent. Exactly the way she remembered it. She didn't touch the old shooting line for a week. Just sat on the porch listening. The wind still carried his voice. It's not the eye. It's the breath. It's the pause before the world decides who you are. And for the first time in years, she smiled. 2 months later, a post appeared on her social media page, just a photo. No caption. The photo showed a group of 6 young girls, kneeling in dirt, holding antique rifles like treasures. Behind them stood Celia, not smiling, not posing, just standing steady, like a tree in the wind. The sign on the shed behind them read, Ward Silent Precision School. For those the world talks over, word spread fast, not because of marketing, because of meaning. Girls from foster homes, young women told they were too soft, too quiet, too late. Veterans' daughters, immigrants, kids with no place in a world obsessed with noise. They came, and Celia trained them. She taught without shouting. only. Rhythm, breath, ground. One day, a woman in a sharp suit arrived unannounced. She was from the Falcon Scope Committee. She'd come alone. No cameras, no entourage. She watched quietly as Celia guided a 13-year-old through her first breath-hold trigger pull. The girl was shaking. Celia didn't correct her words, just placed a hand on her shoulder and whispered, "Stillness is your weapon." The girl hit the target. Tears welled in her eyes. The woman in the suit waited until the drill ended. Then she stepped forward. "You're creating something here," she said. "Something they'll write books about." Celia didn't respond. The woman handed her a sealed box. "You said no to awards, no to platforms, but this belongs to you." Inside was a single brass plaque. It read, "Celia Ward, the echo that never missed. Presented with honor by the Falcon Legacy Council." Celia held the plaque for a moment, then looked at the girl behind her. Still grinning, still trembling. From joy, she placed the plaque in the girl's hands. "Hang it in the barn," she said. "Not for me, for what comes next." A year later, during the Falcon Scope opening ceremony, a brief moment of silence was held, not for the fallen, but for the returned. A new quote had been engraved on the entry wall. "Sometimes, a shot doesn't just hit a target, it hits history and rewrites who gets to pull the trigger next." CW final scene. One of Celia's students stands alone on the range. She's 16. Nervous, holding the same old M40A1 passed down from instructor. To student, she ties a blindfold, inhales and whispers, "Let's begin." If this story stirred something in you, a breath you forgot to take, a silence you've been carrying, or a voice that's never been heard, then let it stay with you a little longer. Share it, not for likes, but for the quiet ones still standing, behind the line, waiting for the world to stop laughing so they can take their shot, because sometimes the loudest things ever said come without a sound.